Hey everybody, this is Chris. Welcome back to Art of the Day, and I have some very amazing artist friends, creative friends of mine here with me tonight, and these gentlemen have all very graciously agreed to come on and talk to us about their experience with living with COVID-19. And I thought this was an important thing to talk about because when people talk about the response to COVID-19, they almost always talk about it in terms of the number of people who have passed away from it, when in fact there are actually a lot more people who live with it, and this is never ever talked about. And these gentlemen are people who I care about and respect, and they can talk to us about that. So that's why we're here, and I'm going to introduce them to you in just a second. But first I want to say a couple of words about a fourth panelist who is going to be joining us tonight. To protect her privacy, I will just refer to her right now as panelist 4. She would have been our youngest panelist if she'd been able to join us. She's probably, I guess, in her early 40s, mom of 2, lives on Lake Champlain, is very deeply culturally engaged in world music, sings and learns singing, and a vibrant, lovely person. And she would have been joining us, but she got in touch with me today and said that she was unable to join because she has had a setback and she is experiencing severe cardiac and circulatory post-COVID symptoms. And she was just too ill to join us tonight. As one of our panelists, she is showing us right now exactly the kinds of things that people who have had this condition have to deal with at times. So she has made her contribution right there. And panelist 4, we are all with you 100%. You are a vibrant flower in this world, and we just want you to get better ASAP. So we're all with you tonight. Okay, now I'm going to introduce you to our panelists, and I would like to start with a gentleman who I shared an apartment with for a couple of years, many years ago. We are old pals. He's Mr. Dave Paris, so say hello, Dave.
Hey, I want to say hi, and I actually recognize the painting to your left from 27 years ago.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I would just like to tell you, Dave, I don't mean to embarrass you or anything, but this gentleman is a very physically vital man. He's been a very accomplished and active salsa dancer for many years. He was a high school athlete. I believe you were captain of a high school football team. Is that right, David?
I was captain of a football team and then made a magical change. I couldn't tackle people anymore after high school. So I switched to social dance, and I did social dancing for a bit, and then also acrobatic dance. My partner and I were on America's Got Talent. We were semifinalists 10 years ago, and traveled 26 countries and still do shows and teach, and that's the biggest passion in my life.
So David is a teacher. So this is a gentleman who's very engaged in the world and in life, and a very vibrant person. So Dave, why don't you give us just a quick rundown on what unfolded for you with COVID?
Sure, absolutely. So, being a school teacher, a lot of teachers were thinking, it's just going to be for only older people. And I was somewhat in shape, but definitely overweight. But there's no way I thought I would have a problem with the disease. So I was welcoming getting it back in March because I thought, wow, I'll be off of school. This sounds great and such. And that's a true story. And then I actually did the social distancing and everything was very careful with the exception of one person, my brother. Turns out my brother got sick and then I got sick with the same symptoms. After the first week, I was sicker than I'd ever been before, but I was celebrating. I'm like, I'll be sick and I'll be fine. And then my sister called me on the 8th day and said, hey, look, this is when people with COVID-19 really get in trouble. And then I noticed, you know what? I am short of breath. And I noticed that was on the list. So I went to the hospital. They said, yeah, you got it. And I had a fever I didn't even know. And 5 days, he tried different things on me, including the hydrochloroside, whatever the Trump is pushing, and that just gave me nightmares back. That was horrible. But after 5 days, my condition got worse. They put me on a ventilator for 1 day. That didn't work, and then they put me on a machine called ECMO, where they pump the blood out, oxygen, and put it back in. So I was in an induced coma for 30 days. And yeah, I got hit really hard. And my brother, he was sick for 1 week, and that was it. He was fine, and he's bigger than me. So I don't know why it hit me the way it did, but it took another 30 days in ICU and another 28 days in rehab. So I was in the hospital for 88 days, and I immediately was just trying to tell people to take this seriously. It's not even at whatever age you are, and no matter health risk, even if you think you're fine, it's taking people out. And I could talk forever, but I'll just say that for now.
Oh, thank you, Dave. Thank you so much. And it's just so incredible to see you, man. Dave and I had not seen each other in quite a while before any of this stuff, and we connected on this topic, and it's just, it's really great to see you, bud. Next, I'm going to introduce you to a gentleman who has been playing drums and percussion in NYC for many, many, many decades. He's one of our finest freelance percussionists in New York City, Mr. Rex Benincasa. I'd just like to say Rex is a gentleman who was in really, really, really good physical condition at the time that COVID found its way to him. This gentleman has run 5 marathons. He's been doing Bikram yoga for like the last 5 years. He still looks great even after all this bullshit. Say hello, Rex, and tell us about your experience, please.
Hi, everybody. As Chris said, I've been freelancing in New York since I came to New York in 1978. And just before I got sick, I had been out on a tour, and I played a bunch of concerts, 6 concerts. And I was out for 12 days. And I was running around back and forth on airplanes. So somewhere along the line, in an airport or in an airplane or at a reception or something, and this was a big ensemble, and people in the ensemble, nobody was getting sick, but everyone's gigs were getting canceled, and we were all fine. So I came back. Into New York on the 13th of March. And then the first day I started feeling bad was the 25th of March. And I just was feeling run down. And my wife was also feeling run down. So we decided, okay, maybe we're getting this thing and we don't know it quite. So we both just holed up. We went into our apartment, went into a total quarantine. We just hibernated. Now, she was sick for about 4.5, 5 days. And I continued to be sick for long after that. And I went down this major rabbit hole with all the, the hit parade of symptoms, as I call it now, with a very high fever and sweating and chills and body aches. I couldn't sleep because everything hurt so badly. My blood oxygen was down to 86% at some points, but I never had a problem getting a breath. I could always get a breath, but I really couldn't take a full breath without having coughing, and I was coughing a lot of wet coughing. So after 14 days of this, I got turned on to a doctor that prescribed to me hydroxychloroquine and azithromycin. Now, this guy said, I've had good results, and this is the important phrase, with men of your age and your background, meaning I'm 63, I'm a man, and my background is that I have no comorbidity problems. I don't have high blood pressure or any kind of heart problems or cancer or anything like that would be something debilitating to start with. And I was in great shape, as Chris had mentioned before getting started. Had I not been in good shape, I would have had even more of a problem, for sure. I would have been but I was wiped out. Extremely, I was fatigued all the time. Mm-hmm. And it was a big deal just for me just to lay down in the bed, then get up and lay down on the couch, and I was worthless. And if it wasn't for my wife, who got better within 4.5, 5 days, and she took care of me, and she made sure that I was drinking liquids and that I was eating and that I was taking in something, but I was losing weight like crazy, and I went through plenty. I went through plenty, but 2 days after starting on the hydroxychloroquine and azithromycin cocktail, I turned around and I was facing the other direction. And after that, I started to improve, and I've been, heading in the right direction ever since then. So I credit the timing of the hydroxychloroquine and the azithromycin. I think it helped me. It happened to work well for me. It doesn't work well for everyone. I think a lot of times people are getting it when they're too far down the path, and they just can't. They're not. Their bodies will not respond to it for some reason.
Yeah,
I still had enough juice left where it worked for me. And
That's
the guy
great.
says, there you go. That's it. That's the basic thing. And I've been after a while, and it took me a long time to get rid of the cough. I had to go on the azithromycin, which is a heavy-duty antibiotic, and I had to go on 2 rounds of it to make it finally get rid of my wet cough. I never had a dry cough. I never had a problem getting air in, but my blood oxygen level was very low, and I was getting really quite loopy in the head. I get really weird. I don't really know if it was from the hydroxy, like Dave said, but I was hallucinating, and I was having very weird thoughts.
Yeah.
Which I don't want to take up everyone's time explaining my weird thoughts, but it felt to me like there was a battle going on for my very being, and there was a darkness and there was a lightness, and I had to send out an appeal. I asked for an influx of white light. I said, and that's because I wasn't handling it on my own, and I needed help, and I asked for help. And I think that had every bit to do with getting me facing the right way as anything else.
Well, that's great. That's great. It's just so glad that you're doing well, Rex. A couple of quick thoughts, like on what you said, like with the hydroxy thing. It's so great that agent was effective for you, and of course, anytime it can be applied effectively for anyone is a great thing. I think a lot of the debate around that, the use of that, has to do with what they know about how it works over the course of an entire population of people. But I'm really glad that it was effective for you. Another thought that I had was that David had a dramatic event of the ventilator. You didn't have to go that far, but without having to go that far, it's still quite clear that your experience has massively sucked, man. So it's not an easy thing for people who are.
It was not a positive thing. It really wiped me out. I lost 16 pounds.
Yeah,
and I was just extremely tired. I was really wiped. I couldn't do anything. Not that there was anything left to do. All my gigs were canceled. My tours were canceled. I was supposed to be running around all over the place, and everything got canceled. Doesn't matter. But I really felt horrible. And it was depressing. Another thing, it was just like, wow, man, this is, it's like being in a car accident. I haven't felt that whacked since I was in a car accident. My entire body went into shock in such a way that you don't realize how damaged you are, because it just keeps lasting. It keeps going on and on and on, and you can't, there's no way around it. And it just keeps, and problems just keep sort of showing up. And the reports are that, my wife was like a hair trigger away from dialing for an ambulance and getting me down to the hospital. But I never was distressed when it came to actually getting air in.
Yeah.
But my body wasn't getting oxygen out of the air. I would open up a window and just lean against the windowsill and just try to breathe in cold air and try to get my blood oxygen level up. We had an oximeter. A little finger thingy, you stick it on there, and I was keeping track of that. And I had a good thermometer, and I was trying to drink as much fluids as possible.
Yeah.
And just try to do everything that I possibly could. But, I was fortunate that the drugs and intervention, pulled me in the right direction, facing me the right way.
Well, that is a very, very excellent thing, sir, and it's great to see you, and I'm so glad you're feeling better.